Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. The war in Ukraine, the forgotten war, if I may. भूल गए सब लोग इसको. Everybody's forgotten what is happening till the time six terrorists went and hit Moscow, and everybody started talking about the war again. And that's how the world is. People die, people fight for the past 3 years, and we just don't know what's the end game of Ukraine. Or will there ever be an end game? Will this be like that everlasting war that was there in Afghanistan? So let's find out with Major General Prabdeep Singh. Sir, namaskar. Welcome to the show. And please tell us, is this an endless war?
Namaskar, Aadi. Good to be back. I'm talking Ukraine. Endless war. Apparently, at the first instance, as a remark, I would say yes, it does seem like an endless war. Now, why does it seem like an endless war? Is because I think neither the West nor the Russians are very keen to put an end to it. Not much progress is being made on the ground, but
A lot
what
of
is
noise.
interesting is a lot of noise, the asymmetric part of it, that is increasing day by day. And when you look at uh, all this happening, the moment you bring in asymmetry and the hybrid and fourth generation, fifth generation warfare into this kind of a scenario, then it is an endless kind of a war. Will Ukraine finally win the war? The Ukrainians seem to be very confident, and so does the West, that in the end of it all, it may take all the time, but then it will be Ukraine's victory. Uh,
Hmm.
well, these are statements being made. However, I do feel, to the contrary, it is Russia which is actually, uh, what अगर हिंदी में बोले तो खूब अच्छी तरीके से बजा रहे हैं. So they are
आज
having
कल
a
रात
great,
को तो
yes. So
तौबा तौबा
uh,
भाई.
so if that is the kind of arsenal which is being, deployed and made to effect on the Ukrainian infrastructure, Ukraine
May,
is bound to collapse
maybe
sooner or
tell the
later.
audience, maybe tell the audience because some of them might not know what happened just last night, 10 hours ago.
Well,
They,
the you see the entire infrastructure, the electrical grid part of it, that has been badly affected, and the number of missiles which have been rained on Odessa and in other places is not funny. Kharkiv is the next target. We know that it is the next big target, and it is literally now turning out slowly and slowly is going to be a ghost town where there's going to be only just buildings when by the time the Russians fetch up there. So there's a massive attack which has taken place in all these areas. Now, I just want to, before even we start further, I would like to, inform the audience as to what exactly is the progress on ground. So if we just go, slide by slide, I just made a few slides. Uh, Avdiivka, which is the last big battle and the last big news which was created. Uh, this is the progress as of 20th of February. No other data is available. However, has only been progress. So this is picked up from the BBC of today itself, and there is progress in Avdiivka. The Ukrainians have literally left Avdiivka, and now
Hmm.
the battle is progressing further westwards. Now, onto the next part of it, you see this is how it looks. Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Robochne, Krinky. We'll just take them all one by one. If you look at the south, just go back, please. If you look at the south, you find where Krinky is, and you find where Robochne is, and in the middle you find the dam part,
Hmm.
Kharkova Dam, and the Dnieper River. Now, this is something very interesting. This is where the counteroffensive was supposed to have made a lot of progress between Krinky and Robochne, and what we see now is that it has all been taken back. And this counterattack, which a counteroffensive, the much talked about counteroffensive last year, was supposed to have kind of made progress, has petered out, and the Russians have thrown them back. So this is interesting. Next, Bakhmut, we all know the Battle of Bakhmut. Bakhmut is very much taken long time back, and progress is still being made over here. So not much progress has been made. However, uh, on the ground, the battle, it's a 1,000 kilometer front, and on the 1,000 kilometer front, small battles are being fought, and small progresses are being made on a daily basis. Next. Now, this is what I was talking about, Robotne and this Verbov. We had, but last year we were talking big about these areas. And now you suddenly see that the Russian military control has already been achieved over here, and the Ukrainians have been pushed. So, what you see in the dash, the hashed lines, that's where you will see that the Russians are making progress all across the front. Next. And this is the Kherson belt. If you
This
recollect,
also one.
yeah, they had crossed over the river and they had they had got a foothold, and it was supposedly the most, through Krinky, they were supposed to have made the progress towards the land bridge, and they were very hopeful that they will go across, but nothing seems to have come about. So this is where actually the battle lies. Nothing, there hasn't been much progress on ground if you really look at it in terms of
Movement.
landmass. Now, approximately 18%, we've always been talking 18%, 20%, 22% of the Ukrainian territory, which is under Russian control. So we will take the figure of 18% as of now and hold on to it. No, 18% is nearly one-fifth. So one-fifth of Ukraine is with Russia already. Next.
This is
This is something what is of
amazing, actually.
concern.
Very amazing.
It's an amazing thing, and what is happening here? I just want to, even before we start and talking about it, this is something which I must dwell upon. You see, on the tactical front, we just saw not much of progress has been made by the Russians or by the Ukrainians. So the tactical battle lines are kind of stalemate-ish, if I may just say so. Of course, there is a push. Uh, there are troop withdrawals which the Ukrainians are doing. They are under pressure. Why they are under pressure, we'll talk about later. But at the strategic level, the Ukrainians have upped the game. When you're talking about strategic level, we're talking about destruction of, oil refineries being attacked by the Ukrainians. We're talking about the airfields being attacked. We're talking about the naval ships which have been downed. So if you just look at the figures, Ukraine has lost 14 since 22, and Russia has lost 9. Now,
That's big.
that's big, and Russia's lost landing crafts, has lost, corvettes, minesweepers. So this kind of a if loss that the Russians have had to undergo, this is something of concern. The current situation, if I may just put it, at the strategic level, the Ukrainians are doing pretty well. You see, they've attacked the oil fields with the drones deep inside. Now, the what do you call, the oil refinery capacity is already down by about 10%. Russia is considering, or to a some extent, certain extent, has banned the export of oil, crude oil. So the pressure is being felt by Russia to a great extent. When it comes to the naval ships have been withdrawn and brought up to, taken down deeper. They've been moved from Sevastopol. Sevastopol is kind of khali at the moment, if I may say so. because of the fear of these unmanned surface, vessels which are being utilized by the Ukrainians.
Sea
This is
drones.
something which the sea drones. This is something which intrigues me actually. That intrigues me to the extent that no sane army or navy would want such a thing to happen. No
Yeah.
navy would want. I mean, these are major losses which are taking place. Oil refineries, aircrafts. So if you see the last couple of days, these four airfields which have been attacked by the Ukrainians drones. Now, next in the next slide, you'll see that they had drone attacks on four airfields. That is at Vesk, Morozhsk, and Angels, as also at Kursk. So Kursk on the next slide. Now Angels is about 730 kilometers from Kiev. Morozhsk is 870. Vesk is 1000, and Kursk is approximately 300 kilometers. So between these four airfields, about 6 aircraft have been destroyed, including two strategic bombers. Now, next, so
Big loss. That's a major one.
that's a major loss. So
That and two self shot down AVACs.
AVACs.
The Russians
Now,
shot themselves down.
that's right. So when you look at all these losses which are coming about to the Russians, we see 340. Ukraine has lost 342 aircraft, and Russia has lost 296. And other nations, I mean Romania, etc. Some aircraft have also been lost. These are commercial aircraft which have got damaged. These are about 9 of them. So uh, things are, uh, should we say, in favor of Ukraine? No,
Can't say that. No.
no.
Hmm.
While all these strategic, I'm talking at the strategic level. But
Yeah.
आखिर में जमीन में क्या हो रहा है is what matters.
Ukraine is finished. As a country, it's over.
It's over. They. Uh, I think they're under a state of delusion.
Mm.
Even the United States, they have asked. Even Anthony Blinken has asked the Ukrainians not to go and hit on to the oil fields because why? Because they feel that the oil prices in the world will go up, and it's election time, and just it's going to be not good for the entire economy of the world, and especially in the United States, the prices will shoot up. So when such a thing is happening, you think that you are attacking strategic targets, but on the contrary, what happens is uh, at the international strategic level, the game is getting disturbed. Do they have the boots on ground? Nada. They do not have. आदमी नहीं है. If you go on, there's a fantastic video I was watching about the people running away, Ukrainians running away, trying to flee from the country. Their
$10,000, right? $10,000 is the
ten
going rate.
$10,000 he's taking, and per person to get him out of the country. So that I mean, people are ready to pay 10,000 US dollars to save their lives. And if you in that interview with that young kid, he says, "I would like to live. Many of my friends have finished, have gone. So why should I be the one, giving my life? I want to live and I want to lead a good life." And
And
he's
today
ready to
they've
pay money.
today they've passed general mobilization again, right?
Yeah, what they've done is two things. What they've done is lowered the age from 27 to 25. That's one. And the second thing they've said, their earlier contract or earlier understanding was that after 36 months of service, you will be demobilized. A soldier who serves 36 months would, would get demobilized. Now, that was a ray of hope that the soldiers on the battlefield had. Now, that clause has been withdrawn. Now, the moment that clause has been withdrawn, you can imagine what has happened to the morale of the troops. So the morale of the troops is down. आदमी नहीं है, मोरल ठीक नहीं है, हथियार नहीं है, एमुनेशन नहीं है, और जीतने की बात करते हैं. And they talk of winning the battle without troops, without boots on ground, without men being available, without trained soldiers being available, without the equipment being available, because they're banking totally on the United States. And US का भी आपको पता ही है कितना उन्होंने दिया है, 129 billion of
Confirmed
aid.
by US, very
Congress,
solid US
Congressman.
source. US Congress say
Yes.
20, 125. So this is not a fluke, guys. This is a very, very confirmed figure which has come.
Now, interestingly, Adi, this figure is not available in the media.
Yep. It's
You
not.
you can search the entire web. You will not find this particular figure. You will find the European figures. You'll find European figures कि इस country ने इतना पैसा दिया, दूसरे country ने इतना पैसा दिया. But when it comes to the United States, you do not get the exact amount. And now, from a congressman's mouth, you hear that he's done about 100. They've given about 129 billion, which is not funny. That's a huge, huge amount which is being spent. Taxpayers' money of the United States is being spent on Ukraine. Now, no wonder it is the Congress which is not passing the bill. That 95 billion, which is supposed to be, has been sought by President Biden, and of which 60 billion is supposed to come to is meant for Ukraine, is not being passed for a simple very reason that this amount seems to be unjustifiable. They've not been able to, in fact, justify the amount that has been spent earlier. So
Already.
this kind of, yeah, so this kind of lacunas are there, and they have about 14 billion of which is unaccounted for. Interestingly, there's a gap of 14 billion US dollars is not accounted for.
गायब गायब बोलते हैं इसको गायब.
Huh.
ये होती है
So,
वॉशिंग मशीन. This is washing machine. The Ukrainian laundromat.
yeah. Now, this all this is happening, and it is it is a very difficult situation that the world is in as far as Ukraine is concerned.
Hmm.
The Americans are not giving money. Zelensky has also made a statement. Imagine Zelensky making a statement that the Ukraine will lose the war if the United States does not give that kind of money. That is the 60 billion, right? Now, imagine he's actually pleading. At the same time, he's trying to hold them to ransom. He's holding them to ransom. He says that if you let Russia win, it will be soon, Europe will be soon gone. I mean, there will be other countries which will be devoured by Russia, which, in my opinion, is something which is not going to happen. Doesn't seem to be a Russian aim, at least not not the stated aim of going beyond Ukraine. I don't know whether you've come across a statement today by the Orthodox Church.
No, I
The
didn't see that, sir.
Orthodox The Orthodox Church in Russia has declared the war in Ukraine as a holy war.
Whoa.
Yes, sir. And they have said that the war will only be completed after the entire of Ukraine is part of Russia. So this is what has been the latest statement today, and it makes it, it takes the war into the next level. Now, whether it is to motivate the youth of Russia or the country as such, but having declared this coming out as a holy war, that is the entire of Ukraine is to be merged or to be taken over and made a part of Russia. So the war is not going to stop. So the moot point which I'm just trying to make is the war is not going to stop until unless the entire of Ukraine is taken over by Russia. So it's a long drawn affair.
Yeesh.
So if you recollect about 6 7 months back when you asked me this question, how long will this war last? I said another 2 years. I think it may go even beyond that.
Beyond that.
It's even going to go beyond that. Now,
Ha. But the aims, if I may, sorry, the
yeah,
aims of the West are met, sir. Right? As we've discussed during our Arctic War episode, Western aims क्या थे, sir? जर्मनी को वीक
वेस्टर्न
करना था,
वो कर दिया
नॉर्थ में शिफ्ट करना था, और रशिया को फंसाना था. तीनों हो गया.
बिल्कुल हो गया. रशिया
खत्म कर
रशिया
लो
इज
ना अभी.
खत्म नहीं होगा ना. Russia is entangled in this war. It's not getting out. So Russia has to continue to ramp up its production. Uh, even the Ukrainian generals are crying hoarse, saying that if it's the NATO generals, correction, Kavoli, right? The US general. He has made a statement. He said that until or unless ammunition is coming by the Russians are going to be firing at the Ukrainians at the ratio of 10:1. Currently, they are at 6:1. Now, देखो, in a normal battlefield, we take for when you attack a post or a company or a battalion or whatever it is, normal ratio that we take is 3:1, right? Now, when you take 3:1 is if there is one battalion, you're looking at 3 battalions being launched. If you're looking at one company, a minimum of 3 companies being launched against. So we look at 3:1 ratio. Here we're looking at artillery being fired at a ratio of 6:1 already. And it is likely to go up to 10:1. Why? Because there's no ammunition available in Europe, there's no ammunition available in the United States. Ammunition is not coming by,
And they
right?
tried stealing our ammunition, which we are now refusing. Hmm.
Another interesting part, you know, China produces a particular material for the what do you call for the ammunition, right? Now that China stopped supplying. So when China stops supplying this particular item to the ammunition producing factories, so the ammunition cannot come by. तो कहानी खत्म है. Ammunition है ही नहीं, air defense है ही नहीं, aircraft है नहीं, आदमी है नहीं, and yet the talk of victory, yet the talk of being able to hold on for a long term. Now my fear is that sooner or later NATO troops may just about get involved.
There are troops in Moldova. These are
Yes,
not
no, I
publicly
was coming.
reported.
So they are already talking of Trinestra being,
Yep.
fingered. Yeah. So if that kind of an attempt takes place from
Hey.
Moldova into Trinestra, you will have the Russians taking on Moldova naturally. So where this war is going to lead to tomorrow is something which is we got to be very careful. The world
Yeah.
has to be very careful. But somehow, uh, let's see what happens. Now, uh, Putin is has would have met today Lukashenko, the Belarusian Russian president, and today and tomorrow. So there is that kind of a thing happening. There are peace talks which are supposed to take place in the month of June, that
June.
is 15th and 16th of June in Switzerland, and about 100 odd countries are expected to participate. Now, what is the kind of a peace plan that's going to come by? I really do
With
not understand.
100 countries. With 100 countries, sir.
No, you can have a meeting, you can discuss peace, but peace can only come about when both parties to the conflict are a party to the peace, summit. You cannot have a peace summit being taken. You can keep calling off any peace summits, but if you do not have both the parties to this thing, there can't be any peace. You're talking about sanctions. I think you put maximum sanctions that are possible. Of course, Japan has now come up with some sanctions which it's going to against Russia. The latest is that about 164 goods have come under sanction. So
Why don't they
Japan,
sanction the, if I may, why don't they sanction the fertilizer? Why don't they sanction the uranium? Why don't they
they will not.
sanction complete Russian origin oil?
No, they can't do it. They can't afford it. If they would do that, now imagine America is panicking because Ukraine is targeting the oil refineries, and 10% production has gone down. So the
So
Americans panic.
these
Americans
monkeys don't
panic.
realize the Chinese out of Hong Kong have bought electrical equipment from Western countries and transfer it to Russia.
That's what will happen. I
So
mean, trade.
Western
No,
countries have sold equipment to Russia.
yeah. So indirectly, anything can happen. So
Sheesh.
this kind of a thing is happening, and it continue to happen. So this all the game is all about paisa. It's all about money. It's all about economics. This entire war is economics. Now there's going to be a meeting. There was a meeting between the foreign minister of Russia, Lavrov, and Xi Jinping. Now, that happened on the 9th of February. So if such meetings are going to take place at such a level, and both of them are going to support each other, so imagine a Russia-China nexus, which is already quite strong, at least at the uh, strategic level. At the grassroots level, what kind of transactions take place, that is kind of unknown at the moment. What kind of equipment is being provided? Of course, parts, etc., definitely being provided, but directly, China is not uh, apparently contributed towards the wherewithal of Russia. Of course, Iran and North Korea very much a party to it. Now, all that is happening. So a dangerous game is building up. Now, you try and couple this up with the Middle East, what's happening in Gaza. You mix it up with the what's happening in the South China Sea. You mix it up with what's happening
Iran.
Iran. So today the world is becoming a very dangerous place to live in.
And the funny thing is that everything is sewed into each other.
Obviously,
And there are these little,
every
little fires in the middle.
yeah. Thankfully, India is out of it,
Ugh.
and uh, we have to play smart and you know kind of maintain a balance to ensure that we do not get entangled in any of these issues and keep the national interest alive. Now, what else can we talk about is the
I have a
volunteers.
I have a
Yeah,
question,
sure.
sir.
Yeah,
I have a question. Actually, it's about people only. I'm sure you were touching about on that. My question to
yeah,
you is about mercenaries. Now we
yeah. I was
had
going to
a
talk exactly
whole
about that.
whole bunch load of people who came in. Whole bunch load of people got their badges of combat and they've gone out. You can see so many of these chaps YouTube IDs. They've got GoPro cameras. They've recorded bloody content for a lifetime. ये निकालते रहेंगे भी उसके अंदर हम पैसे बनाते रहेंगे उसमें ठीक है fantastic no problem. The point is, sir, who are they sending in now? Because now that's where my doubt starts coming in, and this might sound very terrible and sinister, but illegal migrants, have they started getting pumped into Ukraine, sir? Because we've had reports of, I'm sorry, I might sound very racist, but not white people fighting in Ukraine.
Now, as far as mercenaries are concerned, about 6,000 odd mercenaries have already died, have been killed, right? As far as the United States is concerned, there were 1,113 mercenaries reported. This is Russian
Whoa.
figure. 1,113 to be precise, of which, as per Russian sources, 491 have already got killed, right? So we are talking about 6,000 killed. So how many are still around? How many are fighting? How many have left? Is a figure which can just be imagined. Now you look at the United States or you look at Europeans. There are a lot of people who once they've been in battle, they kind of want and they've they get that kick. If you've been to Afghanistan, you've killed people and you've survived, that nasha chad jata hai. So
You
you want to
find
be
reason.
again, you find a reason to be back into the system again. So these are the kind of people who come back, who become who become hunters, the shikaris, the taste of blood. So these are the kind of people who fighting. Now, who else is fighting is the question. Now, when you talk of illegal immigrants, you want citizenship of the country, go and fight there.
That's what I'm thinking now. क्योंकि
No,
देखो सर
it's
2-3 साल हो गया है ये लीगल माइग्रेंट्स का तो ट्रेनिंग शेयरिंग तो होगी अभी तक.
देखो ये similar thing Pakistan. Now Pakistan sends a lot of these terrorists who come into India and create havoc in India. Many of the guys are the ones who were in prison and who were told, if you want your prison term to be condoned, then go and fight in Kashmir, go and kill people on our behalf, right? Even the United States has a system. If you want a green card, enlist yourself, serve a specific amount, and then you will get your green card. And many of them, we recall an Indian also getting an award for valor and all that. So, such are the people who are there, whether in Europe or whether in this thing. So you don't have to be, and you really don't have to be white for that. I mean, you
Yep.
you got illegal migrants, so you've been put behind bars. So you want to redeem, you go there, fight, come back, and we'll give you a citizenship. After all, you fought for us. So this kind of a game is on and will be pursued. Now, again, you know what is happening. Again, the what do you call our along with the Chechens, you got these guys fighting again. The what are these guys? Wagner troops. About 1,000 odd Wagner troops joined the Chechen rebels, which are going to be fighting Chechen. That leader, they're going to be fighting Kadyrov in
Kadyrov.
Kadyrov in Ukraine. So it's all getting mixed up. It's all getting muddled up. This entire thing, and it's all about money. I pay you this much.
Yeah.
We're going to fight. Now, what's happened in Russia? Very interesting. The Russian soldiers' pay has been doubled.
Simple.
Simple, doubled.
Simple, straight.
Yeah.
They're very
So
interested now. ये क्या है?
yeah. So and he gets much more than a normal Russian guy. So he goes and fights. So he's all there. Paisa mil raha hai. Let's go.
बहुत.
So this is the kind of game which is happening, and this entire war, whether it is Ukraine or whether it is the Gaza, or whether it is what's likely to happen in Armenia, Azerbaijan, what is going to happen in Iran,
Iran,
what's happening
Pakistan.
in Pakistan. I mean, things are getting very murky. That's all that I can say. And to keep joining these dots itself is becoming a little, it's not easy. The geopolitical scenario is getting complicated day by day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go into audience questions, guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and share this message. I'm a little taken aback with the double part. I'm, I don't think we should say it out loud because there's a lot of armies in the world. Pakistan might just get an idea. जंग हो रही है हमको डबल करके दे दो तो dear Pakistan army, you can try this out in your country.
Yeah, you go ahead and do what you want to do.
That'll be amazing. But there have been bad incidents as well about this. Jokes apart, Gorkhas have got caught, Indians have got caught, some Thai people got caught, some Japanese guys got caught, some Chinese people got caught, and all these rackets. Like Indians went in a racket, a lot of people went in these all these kind of rackets, and they got caught there, and they had to fight. So I mean, this kind of stuff happens when you have a war like this. In any case, guys, like, subscribe, and most importantly, spread the word. You can, by the way, guys, those of you who don't know, we just crossed 190,000 subscribers today. So I am damn proud of that. We should be hitting 200,000 by the end of the month. Fingers crossed. You can contribute towards this channel by using the QR code or PayPal or super stickers, super chats, or becoming a member. Let's see. First question. Okay, three new members: Rajiv ji, Agyat, and Pink Floyd. Thank you so much, all three of you, for becoming members. Right? Partha says, thank you so much. He says, why was Russia asking us to pay for oil in yuan? Was.
Was came down to rupees because there was a time when yuan was being proposed as the international currency, and it is China wanting to become more dominant, but China, that thing is gone bust. Yeah, India will never pay in yuan, and India pay in rupees.
No, there was a bit of a
UPI,
challenge.
I
There
know
was a bit of a
UPI,
challenge. So that one transaction we paid through dirhams.
yeah, but
And
not
then
in
after
yuan.
that, Lavrov was called. Come here.
Mm.
Then everything got sorted out. Pradeep ji, thank you for becoming a member. Dr. MPC, thank you so much. He says, what is the risk of Chechen separatists smuggling manpads and other weapons out of Ukraine? Myanmar rebels are using Ukrainian tactics for arming their small drones and 3D printing rifle parts. Yeah, I've read about this.
Yes, well, this is going to happen, and this is happening. So let's face facts. The amount number of and what gets smuggled first is the manpads. Well, that is uh, very interesting. Now, I don't want to dwell into what we've seen and what in our own country, but these man-portable air defense systems are the first things that any terrorist organization looks for. Now, why? The moment you're down in aircraft, let's not talk drones, stingers, etc. They're meant for aircraft. The moment you're down an aircraft with a manpack system, which is relatively inexpensive as compared to the cost of an aircraft, you have a major kill. You have a major achievement. So this has happened from Afghanistan, right? This is happening now, and this will continue to happen because a lot of these terrorist organizations will find the weapons. They would already be buying their weapons from the Ukrainians and using them. So Myanmar rebels, if they're Ukrainian tactics, obviously the entire world has now learned from what has happened in Ukraine. So Myanmar rebels are no less. I mean, they would also obviously be using those tactics. And as far as 3D printing of rifle parts, simple. Uh, do they really need to? Not really. They don't have to. Quite a bit of it is already available, ex China, and there's this place, Ruili, the border where everything is available. So you just go there and you buy between Myanmar and China. There's a border called Ruili. You just go there and buy what you want.
What you
It's
want?
something, yeah, similar to what you get in in Pakistan, which is that
Pakistan,
place, yeah, where you get
north of
everything.
Islamabad. Hmm.
Yeah, so that's bound to happen. Yeah.
One thing I just remembered about these mercenaries is that the Russians have treated them very badly. I mean, if you remember that those guys, the Nepalese guys, they were literally, by the end of it, they started pleading with the Indian government, "हमको निकालो यहाँ से बाहर."
You see,
Oh,
Nepalese, though I'm a nearly a Nepali myself, because that's my kind of second language. Uh, they're found all over in every
Oh,
army. They go for money. I mean, that's a must.
yeah,
They love to be part of any mercenary force or any foreign legion or whatever it is. जहाँ पैसा वहाँ जाएगा. ठीक है. They're very hardy people. They're very hardy people. They look for. They're ready. They're being very poor in the villages. They're
yeah,
being very hardy, and at the same time very hardworking. They're ready to, go all over and fight, and for the sake of money. But this is precisely what has happened. And
true.
if you look at the statements of the our two three guys who went from Kerala to, they went off to Russia, and they were sent to the battlefront, and how they've got back, and they also have tales to tell. So obviously they are going to be treated badly.
Yeah. Nimishji, thank you so much. Says, can these hunters become terrorists with green cards? Yeah,
Yes,
well,
sir. Why not? Well, that's the
that's the
uh,
plan.
that's the plan. That you get trained, you get a green card, and then, in the long term, what is
Yeah,
happening is the demographic shift which is taking place all over the world.
true. Viber Chops, thank you so much for becoming a member. Uh, when will Russia launch its offensive towards Kharkov? Will it be ready to the extent of like Bakhmut destruction? Ready to go to the extent of Bakhmut?
Yeah. Now, when will it go towards Kharkov? I will say, what is the right time to go to Kharkov? They're waiting for the right time. They winters they won't have gone, for a plain and simple reason, because the ground situation did not
Done
permit.
so. Mhm.
It doesn't suit. Now it is only in the spring or the summer offensive that you will find a large amount of progress being made. Now, what has happened is, the Ukrainians have dug in. Let's face facts. They have dug in deep, and only thing that they have up their sleeve today are drones, which they have their own production facility of their own from before, and they've taken Turkish help, and they're using these drones very effectively. They call that first person view FPV drones, which are becoming effective. They just carry a load 5 kg payload, which gets dropped and causes that kind of harm. They do not have the artillery
Mhm.
what is required. So without RT ammunition, whatever said and done, defensive battles cannot be fought. They do not have the air. F-16s, when they come, what will happen to them is we will see. They are not going to be any game changers. So the right time will soon arrive. And I would say it will be 2024 itself, within this particular year, within this season, that you will find the momentum getting picked up. Uh, we were always talking about a drive towards Kiev. After all, if you have to bring down a nation, what do? You want to go to the heart.
The
You want to go
capital.
to the heart, and the heart lies in the capital. So, this is the correct direction to head for. Do the Ukrainians have the troops for it? They have shifted a lot of troops towards Kharkiv, towards this particular area, and they are building up defenses. But to the extent of Bakhmut, I have my doubts. They have the kind of wherewithal. Bakhmut, they exhausted it all. And it was a good tactics on the part of the Russians and the Wagner troops to exhaust the Ukrainians, because Bakhmut kept sucking in troops. It was
Meat
a meat
grinder.
grinder. It kept
Mm.
sucking in troops, and they kept, friend Zelensky kept sending troops there, and in the end, sacrificing them like, goats. But now they don't have that kind of troops.
True. Mr. India says, have Russians used their FOAB bomb in the war so far?
Yes,
Once,
we
right?
have. Huh?
Once they
Sorry.
have, right?
Once. That's when
Once, yeah.
they took on that underground bunker,
Mm.
right? Uh, that is, they have used, and they don't want to keep using it because of the repercussions, international repercussions. They will use it when, basically it's a penetrator, and it is only effective under when we were to go deep inside the ground, and where you have good tunneling systems or good command posts, etc., which are
Hmm.
deep down. So they
They
have
took
used
out
it once.
some. They took out some very
They're
senior
called the
NATO people. Took out some
senior
very
NATO
senior NATO
people.
people that nobody
Yes,
acknowledges.
that's right.
Nimish, thank you so much. Says uh, US is doing same mistake as Pakistan by rearing snakes.
The US is playing smart. US is not putting its own troops. The US is using the Europeans. US is using French, the French as the front guard, and I think they're not. They have learned the lesson very well in Afghanistan, and they don't want to have anything to do with the
That's true.
war as far as manpower contribution is concerned.
That's
And
true.
if they don't contribute, they don't have snakes in the backyard.
JP says, thank you so much. Firstly, he says, General sir, you said nobody talks partition. Please do a show. Oh,
Yeah, they stopped talking partition. That you remember if we used we talked about tripartition,
yeah.
trifurcation of Ukraine.
That's all gone out of the window.
No, but don't be surprised, because at the end of it all, that may be the only solution, or that may be the reality. Because the moment, I still hold the view that moment the Russians progress towards Kharkiv, and if they've taken Kharkiv and they start going beyond and going towards Kiev, Poland will feel threatened, definitely, and they will find an excuse to walk in. So
True.
don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. It's still a possibility, not in the near term, but long term, yes.
LP, thank you so much and wonderful comment. I appreciate your appreciation of my work. I don't have a question, but I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much. Great work, great analysis. Keep the great work up. There are forces that will bring you down. Don't back off. Thank you. Okay, Batraji. Batraji says, Prabdeep sir, what Ukrainians are doing, Pakistan could do with us yesterday. How prepared are we? Giving that the power equation is more or less the same as of Ukraine, Russia versus India and Pakistan.
Interesting question, but things are totally different actually. We cannot compare the two. We What Ukraine and Russia are doing is cannot be compared to what India and Pak is doing. Now let's get it right. The only thing that we got to be prepared for is that no war tomorrow is going to be easy. That's all I would like to say. If we are talking about swift wars, 13-day, like what happened in Bangladesh, and we created Bangladesh, that's not going to happen. So maybe that I'm sure my brothers in arms in senior appointments are talking about it and
Yeah,
discussing
yeah, yeah.
it behind
They are,
behind
sir.
closed.
There are, yeah, yeah. I mean, even Manohar Parikar Institute Director General, he was sitting with Smita Prakash. He spoke about this. He said there's a lot of discussion happening now how to kind of sustain wars rather than,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you do fight to win, but then you also learn how to sustain wars.
So lot of good lessons have come out of Ukraine war, and I'm sure the Pakis. I don't want to talk in open forum, and I wish somebody would listen to me from the uniformed fraternity right now. But fortunately and unfortunately, I do not contribute anymore there, and
He said, I'm
but
sure
definitely,
you've done your job well, and you've trained the
yeah, yeah,
next line solidly. So
yeah. The people at the helm of affairs are my batchmates right now, and they're doing a great job. They're great people, and I can only say the country is in safe hands.
uh, Russia attacked land of Western companies, Agro-Terra Agriculture, Donain Dairy Products,
Yeah.
Carlsberg Beer. Are the Russians the new Punjabis?
Yeah, because agriculture, of course, the Russians are the new Punjabis, but Punjabis don't go about attaching land of any company. Uh, the only thing is,
Naughty boys.
yes, yeah, when it
But
comes to agriculture,
the
you know,
reference of, if you actually put this thing down into references within Ukraine, it is quite true. And in terms of, the Russians have actually hit out on these certain things where the Ukrainian sustenance is kind of come into weak, which is what Pakistan tried to do with our Punjab. That the sustenance of the state kind of literally became so weak itself. So
yes, what we ought to understand is that eastern Ukraine, that is the Ukrainian part which is uh, adjoining or the Russia has taken control of, is the most industrialized, and it is also the as far as the heartland of actually Ukraine, because the major production is from this particular belt. So, and the Russians, as a counter to all what was happening in Europe, that confiscation of their bank accounts and all that, and the sanctions. So they found it fit to kind of enforce their sanctions and their conditions on these
yeah,
European brands.
yeah, yeah.
And I think all is
But
fair and good about it.
everything is on, right? McDonald's is on, Domino's is on, Coca-Cola is on, everything is on. You see Russian street interviews, everything is on. The names are
Everything
changed.
is
वो
names are
M is
changed.
become
Huh?
a M वो ऐसे की बजाय उसको ऐसा कर दिया है, बस E बना दिया उसका, और कुछ नहीं है. The same thing.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, those companies have got a hit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Those companies have got a hit.
Mm.
If you tie in hit, it's got to be a tit for tat. You do this to me, I'm going to do this to you. Whatever I can.
This is an interesting comment from Anikesh. He says, so basically a white Afghanistan?
Very true, sir. Well said. And I think this is something which we can keep talking about. It's in white Afghanistan. It's going to continue for a longer period. Uh, the only thing is who's going to be the Taliban part of it. The there ain't no there isn't any organization within Ukraine. Of course, President Zelensky is the only leader who's wanting this war to continue, and he's passing on directives.
So,
So
Dr. MPC, thank you so much. He says, why don't we start publishing votes wanted lists with rewards for capture or kill, no chance for unknown gunmen discussion? We do have them.
yeah,
Correct me
yeah,
if I'm
those
wrong, sir.
lists, no, they are there, but they're they're put up in specific areas. We do have a list.
Adi Sura, hello and good evening. I'm really interested in Sir's opinion on the recent Iran-Israel flare up. Any thoughts? We definitely need a podcast from that, from Sir.
Yeah, Iran Israel flare up. Let's see as to what is happening. We'll sit down and talk about it maybe in the next
Yeah,
episode.
sure, sir. Avasti ji, thank you so much. Won't it get bit nuky if NATO gets involved? Nuky?
Yes, sir, it will. Yes, sir, it will get. It's already getting a little nuky. You know what has happened on the Zaporozhia
Yeah,
front,
nuclear power plant. Yeah.
nuclear power plant, and it's already the IAEA has already been drawn in, and they have said that it is categorically said that there is danger to the plant. So it is getting nuky in a way, and maybe that will be the end of it all.
Might I recommend to everybody, read Annie Jacobson's book, uh, Nuclear War. I mean, I've just put it in my cart this evening. I kind of don't remember the name. If you want, I'll just ANNIEJACOB, Annie Jacobson new book. It's called. I saw a podcast. It's called Nuclear War: A Scenario. I saw a podcast of this book, and I'm interested to read it. But sir, what she said was kind of blew my mind. It was 72 hours after a world war starts. the first nukes fly off, and within 72 minutes, 5 billion people will be dead or affected.
Interestingly, this whole thing, I mean, you look at, we're digressing a little bit. In fact, I read it today also. This COVID, these wars, all this climate change, etc., etc. This is got to bring down the population of the world to
Yeah.
1 billion, to bring it down to 1 billion. The Earth can only suffice 1 billion inhabitants. So
The Great Reset.
yes, the Great Reset is what is required in 1 billion. I mean, bringing it down to 1 billion is from 8 billion. Then it requires something what you just said.
Yeah. Mr. Bartleywala says, what do you think Ukrainians will bump off Zelensky to make truce?
We've been talking about this for a very long time.
It's not happening.
It is not happening. No,
he
it's
threw
not
out
happening.
he threw out his army general. I thought somebody would shoot him after that. That also didn't happen.
This is an interesting fact, and I was listening to commentators, and this very question was asked as to what is his popularity rating, and interestingly, 70% of the population of Ukraine is still with Zelensky, because the very nature, very character of the people of Ukraine, and they're willing to die for the country, and this is something which is commendable. We've seen their resolve as far as this is concerned.
That's true. That's true, sir. You gotta give it to them
This
for
is
that.
yeah.
Troll says Russia is earning through the war and is in good shape while EU in turmoil. Why should Russia even stop the war?
Russia is not stopping the war. Russia is, Russia. I think the West underestimated Russia. We've been saying this quite often. Russians suffered a setback. They withdrew. They recouped. They reorganized themselves, and now they are fighting.
Hmm.
And they ramped up the production. The military industrial, the defense industries were ramped up. They're churning out 100 tanks a month. Can you believe that? Refurbishing 100 tanks a month. They may be old tanks, but that is what they are capable of doing. 100 tanks a month refurbished and being brought onto the battlefield. So they have that kind of capability. And these are, I'm talking about refurbished tanks. I'm not talking about the new generation tanks, which they are conserving for a bigger battle with NATO if and when it arises. So you can't touch Russia as far as concerned, as far as this aspect is concerned.
Jay says very easy to hurt the US when their citizens are in. Very easy to hurt the US when their citizens in the US and around the world are hurt, just like during the Vietnam War. Yep, that's true.
So that's why no boots on ground, no United States soldiers on ground, nowhere near.
Rajesh Ji, second last question, sir. NATO is NATO a potent force? Do they have the required manpower, ammo? Does citizens of NATO countries support NATO jumping into this war? Does the economy of NATO countries permit them to fight?
A fantastic question, and I think this is something that needs to be delved into deeply. NATO is not a potent force, right? Earlier they had six Earth battalions. They doubled it, made it 12. They Do they have the required manpower, ammo? No. Do citizens of NATO countries support NATO jumping into the war? No. Does the economy of NATO countries permit them to fight the war? No. Now, this is the premise that the ex-president of the United States, Donald Trump, is saying. He says, if it cannot be just the United States which is there, which is, keeping NATO alive or keeping the war in Ukraine alive. It has to be a European responsibility. And if it has to be, my point is, if it has to be a European responsibility, Then why NATO? Where is the need for NATO? There is no need for NATO. The European defense forces should organize themselves and look at defense of Europe. Now, NATO, as per the NATO, agreement, they're supposed to give 2% of their GDP, contribute towards the NATO. Most of the countries are unable to do that. So their economy really does not permit.
Correct.
Is their security of their own country more important than that of the NATO countries? So this is something that everybody needs to understand. NATO, without you take away United States from NATO, and NATO is incapable.
Yep. And that
Donald
might
Trump
just happen.
Donald Trump comes, there will be no NATO maybe, because in his eyes the NATO is proved ineffective.
Correct. No, it needs to be changed. So it's not effective anymore.
Yeah.
This is a comment that I wanted to answer on. Adisura says, I'm not saying people in Gaza aren't suffering, but did you guys notice the ramp up of NGO ads for contribution in Gaza? Yeah, they do that. And I say, let them waste money. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Because they're not going to
Yeah,
get anything here. This is also
honestly,
the way you propagandize. You propagandize this. You target countries where you're not getting support. And then you kind of push in these ads to, create some sort of this thing in the
but this
game.
is natural. But this is natural that the NGOs will want
No, sir.
contributions.
These NGOs are based in Qatar. All of them are sick rich. They collect all this money as zakat and they bloody give it to all sorts of people after that. So it's all bump actually. And Satyam Singh Saab, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you, sir, for the time spent and wonderful. I think we've taken a good roundup back onto the Russian war in Ukraine, and I think it was much required. Uh, some recent events actually brought this, as I said in the beginning, brought this thing back into the news. I don't think the sustenance power is there in the West, but I think they're still going to sustain it. As you very rightly said, nobody's going to put an end to this war. So let's see where everything goes. But for now, sir, thank you so much and see you the next time.
Thank you, Adi. Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. Wonderful having talked about Ukraine today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai.